IVM.
Long ago, three young men decided to form an alliance and get into a future. The three men were Amar, Akbar, Anthony, and the film, of course, was beautiful. But we have three other men who formed a geek fruit. Not so interesting story. But their future is all about science fiction, nerd culture, and comic books. That's right. If you're too lazy to read a full book, read a comic book. If you're too lazy to read a comic book, let Geek Fruit tell you about a comic book. And comic books. New episodes out on the IVM podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcasts from. कृपया ध्यान दीजिए, the language used on the podcast may not be fit for consumption. We warn you, tread carefully. But listen, yaar, don't be so conservative. All right, cock and bull time, still in COVID, week number 47, I've lost count. A friend of mine recently a little upset because her building had decided on the 1st of August that they would allow the vendors and the maids and the assistants, or help, as I use the word help, it's better, into the building. However, now they've had a general body meeting and decided to move it by 15 days. Here's my problem. How does it make any difference between the 1st and the 15th? If we are living with COVID now, and we know that we are, it's a bit like living with AIDS, or rather HIV. So you've got to figure out the program and continue going forward. It makes no sense. So I'm talking to all the buildings out there, the building representatives and the stupid bodies that run buildings who should all be tortured for 15 minutes every day, to stop behaving like school children. Alright, we're stuck with COVID. Move on. Figure out processes and styles and things that you can do to manage and micromanage, but figure out something and move on. You can't just wait for another date. 15th, 30th. It's not like a court appearance. You've got to do something. COVID is not going anywhere. Relapsing somewhere in Europe as we speak. So we need to get on with it. This is my message for the day. Here it endeth, the lesson. And it's called Cock and Bull.
Beta, did you know 79% of all scientists in NASA are Indian only?
देखो, इंडिया में टैक्स सिर्फ मिडिल क्लास भरती है. Everyone is just enjoying free यार.
आजकल के youngsters are only interested in partying and enjoying. उनको देश की पड़ी ही नहीं है.
बेटा तुम बस शादी कर लो, उसके बाद तो you can enjoy life like anything.
I will tell you what this country needs. This country needs 15 years of dictatorship. That is the only way to become a superpower. See the Chinese, how much they've progressed.
सुनो, तुमने ये WhatsApp forward देखा?
So what's common between all of these statements?
They're all absolutely rubbish.
Fake WhatsApp forwards that spread like wildfire.
And statements that defy any logic.
We are here to debunk them all.
Way of family WhatsApp groups, worst nightmare. Where what happens when you read a book.
Basically, we're just a bunch of guys who want to cut through the bullshit of everyone saying this, how it won't be true.
So that the next time someone confidently squeezes out some WhatsApp or Twitter BS, you can look them dead in the eye and go, Uncle, please sit.
So join me, Joel,
and me, Tushar,
every Mondays for a fresh new episode of Uncle, Please Sit.
And as usual, we've run out of guests for our award-winning show. We have only Amit, proprietor, owner, entrepreneur, and a young man, silvery, fresh off the boat, so to speak. Because he's back in Powai, and Powai has a lake, so you can go by boat. He was 4 or 5 kilometers away in what he called paradise, but that is over. He's back to his family and all the silly COVID problems and the building panchayat, which will drive him mad. Beta, where were you? 15 days, stay in your house. Hey, by the way, did they ask you? They should have asked you that.
Yeah, I don't think most people realized that I was out of the building. Because I literally just went down, got into my car, went out of the building and came back 15 days later.
And no bag. You never carried a bag or anything?
It's a tiny, a small bag. It wasn't a sling bag.
Okay. You look like you were going to get provisions. Not like you were 15 days with hot chicks. Okay, well done. But I've heard that's another big issue. A pal of mine again who went to meet his parents and came back from Jaipur, he has to spend 15 days inside his house. Because the building people said, please, can you stay 15 days in your house? I mean, they say please and all. Everybody's very polite in South Bombay. No one is like, hey, chutia, peto andar. They say please, but that please is very aggressive actually. It's a passive-aggressive attitude.
It's not a real please.
It's not condescending.
So in a sense, I'd rather you abuse me Gurgaon style and say, Maki chud, andar baith. Whatever, but that, that's the way it is.
But I think, but what you just said, right, that we need to figure out processes, right, about how people come into the building and stuff like that. Now, 15 days isolated in your house seems like an appropriate process if you want to try and keep your building safe, right?
Yeah, but that's if you come from outside, etc. Outside as in outside the city.
Outside the city, yes, yeah. But even then, I mean, like, that also, I mean, like, I don't know, man. I mean, like, so our help has been gone for a while now, right? I mean, like, we had him he was with us for about a month and a half. He stayed with us till, I think, mid-May or something like that. And then when, the unlock started happening, at that point in time, he went back.
Remember, he did complain in May that you guys don't use the air conditioning, and hence he wanted to go back to his muluk.
I don't think that was his complaint.
He's a little pissed off.
But so he
called
called a couple of days ago. He called on Sunday, and he was like, he wants to come back now at this point. And we're trying to figure out, even for us, how do we get him back into the house safely, right? It is something that we are thinking a little bit about, right? Because I mean, it's you want to be careful.
But look at it from the elitist point of view. It's a win-win for you. You get him back, you chain him back to his post, you tell him he has to work in the house for 15 days, he can't step out of the house. So even better is to work longer hours. And that's it. Win-win for you. Well, he gets to keep his job. So I suppose in a way, we've done our bit for socialism. All good.
I don't know about that. I know, but I mean, like, from a but honestly, from a practical perspective, when you want to bring him in, what is the way that you do this, right? Into my house as well, right? I mean, like, he has been out of the house for a long time. He's coming back. He doesn't have anything right now at this point. But I would want to get him tested before he comes home, right? I mean, like, I think that is appropriate. But I don't know. Again, it's just weird.
So then every building will have to have a test kit. Because you can't keep calling people in and out to test people on a almost daily basis.
I don't know, but I mean, like, maybe what you do as a building is say that, okay, if there are new people who are going to come and stay in the building, and that could be like, family, and that could be domestic help or whatever it might be, they are supposed to enter the building on the 15th of August. Let's say that is the date that is decided, right? And on that day...
Because there may be a vaccine. Well, rumor has it. Happy Independence Day.
Oh, man. The stories I've heard about that, man. I mean, the stories I'm hearing about that vaccine thing that's coming, man. That's just... I don't even understand this right now at this point in time. A bunch of people who I spoke to are saying that they're going to make a speech about how we're deploying a vaccine when what they're going to be deploying is clinical trials. So,
correct. So what they're going to say is a lot of headway has happened, steps in the right direction. We are in the process. The fruition will happen at some point. Do words to that effect. It's great. But there will be no vaccine till whenever.
No, I don't think so. Not for a while.
I have another friend, actually a friend of Kunal's, who says he won't leave the house till the vaccine comes. So he hasn't. So he probably will be there till Jan, Feb, March, who knows what time.
No, not even then.
An active vaccine, which is ready for market, will come.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I'm in touch with Cyrus Poonawalla, who has to keep 60,000 vials aside for Parsis to save them first in what is an obvious attempt at racism, which is allowed. It's called allowed racism. What is the word? Affirmative action. What is the word in America that they use? Which is actually a form of racism, because affirmative action means you're protecting one group and pushing back one group. So it's the same thing. So we're doing that. So I'm glad. I think when you have only 60,000 left, you've got to think a little out of the box.
Okay, I guess.
Yeah. You can take a shot, Amit. If you think it violates all principles of the sense of a global alliance and humanitarian principle, fair enough. Please come out with it.
No, but also not endangered. You're an endangered species, right? I guess like that's the way to look at it. Endangered species sometimes get special protections.
The Panchayat squeezed his hand. What do you want him to do? He said, bro, you have to do this. Do this for your people. So, okay, we'll do something. 20,000? No, 60. Okay, 60. Negotiations were hard. They play hardball.
This really happened or what? I mean,
this really happened. This story is somewhat true as far as we know. What the outcome will be in the end, if they were to be the people who bring in the vaccine, would they actually do that? I don't know.
No, but they're a manufacturing
that's an
company,
issue because,
right? I mean, at the end of it, they're a manufacturing company. It's not like they're the R&D that is figuring out.
And other countries will come into play and they'll sublet things out because you want 191 countries to get benefits. Barring, of course, two who you don't talk to. One being the largest in the world and the other who've just lost a lot of press of late. We don't even know what's happening in Pakistan. I mean, I follow cricket, so I have a vague idea about what's happening in the cricket team. But other than that, it's almost like the dark continent now. No words coming out of Pakistan. Except for the odd border dispute in Kashmir, there's nothing we're getting from inside, like what their COVID share is, what's happening, how they're dealing with it, have they had relapses, which province is the worst. I have no idea. Normally, I'm always on top of Pakistan for some reason. Let's go to our Pakistani expert, Silvery, who speaks Punjabi, so he's probably able to interpret a few of the things. Silvery?
Yeah.
Okay, you've gone to sleep?
Do you know anything about Pakistan or what's going on?
He needs a vaccine of a normal kind.
I actually do not know what is going on in Pakistan.
Nobody knows. That's the point.
Okay, guys, before you go into your top story, since we've gone to Pakistan and foreign world, global world, there's this story in the Mumbai Mirror. I, of course, get print newspapers since I have old people in the house like myself. And global cases double over 6 weeks, according to these guys. All right. So suddenly China sees more infections in the last 3 months, and Vietnam is going to evacuate 80,000 tourists. Last time we did that, they were American soldiers in the late 60s, early 70s. But after that, they've never behaved this badly with foreigners. 80,000 tourists in this week they want to send home. And Australia had their highest day spike in a long time.
But why are the tourists in Vietnam anyway right now? I thought that all tourists had kind of been repatriated or were working on repatriation for the last 3 months.
True, but there's also a thing called already working there, so you're like a semi-tourist and that kind of
So
thing.
then that's not a tourist. Then you're a resident, right? In some way, you're on a work visa or something.
Right.
I mean, you might be a local tourist, not international tourist. Like you might have gone from one city to a different city in Vietnam itself.
You idiot! They're trying to evacuate people from the country to outside the country. So why would they take out their citizens? You are no longer the Pakistan and Vietnamese expert on the panel. You will now have to work on Bangladesh and Nepal going forward.
No, but that makes no sense, right? I mean, like, if somebody is there on a tourism visa, they should not be there anymore.
Yeah, well, now they're there. Now, also remember earlier on, not too many cases. So these are places people, slightly more intrepid people said, okay, we can hang, we can stay, we can go, whatever. A lot of these places, what we've noticed is that of late, while say Mumbai, I dare say, is coming down a little bit, these places are getting hit later in life. So it's almost like a timing thing, Australia seemed to have been okay 3 months ago. Now suddenly Victoria is a mess, Melbourne, Victoria, and they've said the highest daily rise in the entire thing. So I don't know.
So I think New Zealand is probably the only safe place right now because they eradicated and they're not allowing new people in right now, right?
Yeah, they also don't allow fruit in. And I don't mean that as a metaphor for alternate sexuality. I mean, honestly, I've had a problem with that because I love to carry an apple when I travel.
Right.
Again, no pun intended. Actual apple, the old-fashioned cheap one, which doesn't come out in different variants every 3 months and loots you. This is just an apple.
But I think most international travel doesn't allow you to bring fruit into the country.
I don't know. This whole thing about fruit brings disease. What the hell is that? You think that's true?
Fruit brings disease.
One friggin' apple and the whole of New Zealand is in a calamity? What kind of nonsense is this?
Well, no, fruit does bring disease. I mean, like, literally, fruit brings disease. Fruit messes with ecosystems. I mean, like, you have different parasites in fruit which don't exist in existing ecosystems. You throw out a seed or you throw out like a bit or something like that. This is, I mean, like, generally governments are full of shit, right? But I mean, like, in this case, there is some logic behind this thinking.
Well, I will not visit New Zealand until they give me, and I have not been there, until they allow me to carry my fruit. For me, it's a matter of principle. Indian man without his fruit. You
know that New Zealand has the New Zealand apple, right? Which is supposed to be the best one right now.
For God's sake, tourists have been doing this for years. Babar himself, Zahiruddin Muhammad, came with lots of fruit. He wasn't happy with the fruit in India, so he brought all the fruit from Central Asia and he kept it right there. Their watermelon and everything else, introduced it, and then we had hybrids, and now we have the best fruit in the world.
Right.
I dare say this central government will not probably support me on this, but our fruit wasn't as good as people think. In a country which was about 50% vegetarian, not that good.
Well, not 50% vegetarian. Did you see the map?
40%.
27%.
27% vegetarian. Okay,
yes,
fair enough.
27% vegetarian.
But unlike the West, we count non-veg people who eat meat. But they don't eat it every day because of financial issues or whatever.
Yeah, but whatever it is, I mean, like the point of a survey like this is whether you are it is
inclined to eat this or that. Yeah.
Yeah. Will you consume animal flesh or not? That's the point of the survey.
Let's ask Silvery. Silvery, will you eat a human being?
No, never.
What? That's not what I heard, boy.
You mean eat out? No, sorry.
Don't answer my stupid questions. Okay, listen, enough of this freewheeling. Let's get on with our... Every time we just keep talking organically about nothing and no consequence, and before we know it, it's over AMA time.
Yeah, that's
true. So
this
time, let's get 3 good topics in.
Just one thing I just remembered, you're talking about New Zealand and getting things inside New Zealand.
Yeah.
So New Zealand is famous for this even before the lockdown, right? They were very strict about what they let into the country.
So was Australia.
Correct. You remember the Johnny Depp thing that had happened a while back? Johnny Depp and his previous wife Amber Heard, they had snuck in a dog, their pet dog, into New Zealand without going through customs and all. And they made a massive hullabaloo about this. They had to, pay huge fines.
No. So, what he did, there was a compromise. He returned Amber and they kept the dog. I think it was a fair, as he now stands in court trying to save himself.
Yes.
From various criticisms of his sexual banter and misbehavior in the bedroom and the hall and the kitchen. I don't know if it's true though, because he's got lots of women like this one supporting him against the last wife.
And apparently, this in multiple articles, he's been able to provide some proof also that maybe Amber was in the wrong and he wasn't. But again, like
There's-
we won there. We
that's
won there.
just-
So
yeah, that's just stuff to stay away from, guys. We shouldn't.
yeah.
Well, we
don't
could,
know.
but it'll only be
We don't know.
speculation
We
because
won
you're never going to know.
It's not just speculation; it's a minefield, right? Which I mean, like basically, we're dancing through with no idea what we're talking about. So it's
Well,
just
I've seen Edward Scissorhands, so I think I'm a little creeped out after that.
That is
All
true.
right? Yeah. All right.
I saw Amber Heard in a movie a couple of days ago. Saw her in Aquaman. She was in Aquaman, right?
Oh yeah, she was an actor.
Yeah, she was in Aquaman.
Johnny Depp asked the studio if they could drown her at the end, but they said no. One second. She's speaking on his behalf as an ex, right? Sorry. That doesn't make sense. Okay, again, we just went away from topic for no reason. What the hell's going on? So what are the topics that we've lined up?
Yeah,
Please tell me.
this first story is it's about a Twitter hack. I don't know if you guys heard about this. Actually, Cyrus and Amit, we both did. I actually shared a story with you before.
This girlfriend-boyfriend leaving you has had its effects. Huh? You're a different person today. Huh? Go on.
So the Twitter accounts of some huge personalities like Elon Musk, Barack Obama, Bill Gates, Kim Kardashian, and then some companies
Kim
also.
Kardashian!
Yeah,
Not that
some-
big, yeah. Bill Gates was okay, Elon Musk, but Kim Kardashian, wow. Who's become a billionaire last
billionaires,
last
they're
24
billionaires now.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Kardashians are the most famous people in the world.
No. The sister became a billionaire a little while before. I forget her name, with K only.
Chloe. I think,
Chloe or whatever. The one with the pharmacy.
cosmetics one.
Cosmetic giant, yeah.
Yes.
So she's the richest. I had no idea. My daughter gave me a lecture about how she became a billionaire, and I felt like such a failure. We were looking at 1 million or something like that. Jesus.
No.
Go on,
It's
sorry.
insane, yeah.
So all these people, and also some huge companies like Uber and Apple, all these people accounts got hacked, Twitter accounts, and a tweet went out saying, "Feeling grateful, doubling all payments sent to my BTC address. That's my Bitcoin address. You send in $1,000, I'll send back $2,000. Doing this for the next 30 minutes." And then there was a link underneath, and this is clearly a scam, like a Bitcoin scam that people actually fell for, and the people who started the scam ended up earning about $120 through this.
But how long before they shut down?
How much money?
How long before they shut down the...
$120,000 at least, at the very least.
So if they've asked for $1,000 and 100, so that means
They didn't do too well.
120
They
people
didn't do
fell
too
for
well.
it.
Yeah.
No, but
They didn't do that
say,
well.
They
And
said
it's across...
if you send $1,000, they could have sent like smaller amounts also. Some people sent like $5, $10.
How do we know how much money was sent?
Yeah, but see, a $5, $10 scam is not going to kill anyone, no?
Correct,
Oh, no, okay.
but these guys end up earning like through Pi karke like quite a lot, yeah.
No, but how do we
you
know that how much they earn? Because Bitcoin is kind of anonymous in that sense, right?
I think
No, you're
people
sending
would
it
have-
in dollars. You're sending it in dollars, and then they'll pay you back in
No,
Bitcoin, right?
they're sending it in Bitcoin. They're asking
Yeah,
for
they're
Bitcoins.
sending in Bitcoin.
But I think people would have reported in saying, "Hey, I fell to the scam." There was some people contacted the
So
cops.
there
in
was
their area
probably a
somewhere.
lot more than that because many people who have put in $10, $20, $50 would probably say, "Fuck it, I fell for a Nigerian thing. Screw it, I don't want to do this."
Yeah, that's possible actually.
But these are the challenges of technology, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you use services like that.
Well, there are two suspects. One is the entire state of Russia, and the second is Donald Trump. He seems to have a lot of time on his hand. He's always surfing the net and doing musty.
I'm sorry,
like,
but
Elon
Donald
Musk,
Trump-
I don't like him. Bill Gates, I don't like him.
Donald Trump is not sophisticated enough with Twitter to do this.
Ooh.
I no, seriously. I mean, he uses Twitter as like a rage outlet. He can't do this kind of shit.
True. But he doesn't have to do it himself. He just needs to find one nerd who's really good at this. I mean, like really good, because if you're going through Musk and Gates' defense, you'd think that they'd have cybersecurity up to their
but so
necks.
this was entirely social engineering, right? The way that this was done, the way that you got access to all of these, right, is let's say you're Cyrus Brocha, you have a verified account, right? You have the blue tick, you're one of the blue tickers, right? Now, if you want to, so if there is a problem with your account of some nature, right? Twitter needs to be able to reset your password, or Twitter needs to be able to kind of go to your account and make a change so that your account can be fixed, right? Somebody hacks your password or something like that, right? Twitter needs to be able to go and change that. So they have a tool that they had built which allowed them access without the authentication, which was an internal access tool. Now that internal access tool somehow was accessed externally by somebody. Whether they actually did it at the Twitter
Not necessarily
physical
externally. It could be
location-
someone in
it could be
Twitter or
somebody in
Google.
Twitter also.
Yeah.
It could be somebody in Twitter also. But somebody who had not, who didn't have authorized access to this tool, used it to perpetrate the scam. right? And so, I mean, now the challenge is that, someone like Twitter needs to have this tool. Now they need to tighten up the access to this tool, clearly, right? But I mean, you do need this tool because, I mean, if there are ways, there are methods to kind of create passwords which cannot be reset or recovered by anybody externally, internally, whatever. But in which case, if somebody loses a password, and let's be honest, most celebrities who are on Twitter, like Donald Trump, like Cyrus Brocha, are not the most tech savvy people in the world.
How dare you?
How dare I?
How dare you insult the Donald?
But when such things happen, you need Twitter to help you out, right?
Yeah. I want to poke a hole in the theory because I think then the suspect will be a carpenter because bad carpenters blame their tools. So from what you're saying, it has to go back to a carpenter. It's the only road that's open from where we stand. I'm so sorry. I apologize. You're right. I should not have got a blue tick. But I have 5 or 6 people with the same name using different things. So finally we decided to get the blue tick because otherwise it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why do people take other people's names? I mean, I understand if you take a name of some great icon, like say John Lennon or something who's dead, but to take a name of just anybody, any two-bit celebrity or any other person that you know, it just makes no sense to me. Why would you do that?
It's just the person who's doing that doesn't have just one Twitter account in all likelihood. They probably have 20 Twitter accounts where they're doing different celebs.
So they do that for fun. They get off on pretending
it's fun.
to be.
It's joke, right? I mean, even in your case, right? I mean, you have I think I've seen three people who are doing your thing, right? Out of which one is clearly a parody account and he's having fun.
Bakra Man.
Yeah. Right. The other two feel like they're trying to be a little more under the radar.
Because they might make some sexist comment, which I definitely would have made, and then I'm in trouble. Yeah,
exactly. Get you in trouble for things you would have said anyway.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely a thing, right? I mean, but again,
so bottom line, will they be able to identify who was able to get into the internal security thing? And secondly, this is very scary. What you're saying is worse than the Aadhaar card now suddenly, because that means all of us or anybody anywhere in the world can be internally hacked by the company.
Well, in most cases that is true. In some cases that is not, right? So for example, the Indian government...
Well, it shouldn't be the right to privacy. I mean, if I joined a library, whatever books that I took should not be available to other people to know.
So the Indian government is fighting with WhatsApp over this very issue, right? I mean, in some ways, it's this very issue, right? WhatsApp maintains that we are end-to-end encrypted. We do not know what goes on inside the network. We do not know who is talking to whom. We do not know what messages are going out. We don't know any of this stuff. Indian government wants them to be able to track forwards. To be able to track forwards, you have to be able to know what's going on in people's accounts. So this is the simple fight.
If you're having an affair, it's a really dangerous place to be. Unnecessarily. Joshi saab ko pakda maine. I mean, it's unnecessary.
I'm just avoiding all the Facebook conspiracy theories about how Facebook is tracking all of WhatsApp. I'm taking what they say at face value.
You guys, with your electronic data and your internet love, I have to tell you, I'm so scared because everything can be sort of, the thing about this, it's like a pool. And the pool, everybody can dive in. That's my big worry. At the end of the day, there's nothing like privacy. Nothing.
There isn't. But again, privacy has always been more of a notional concept than an actual concept, hasn't it? Even in the real world. Privacy is something that is notional. It is something that you believe that you maintain for yourself. But the fact of the matter is that people can spy on you.
But at the end of the day, in the old days, if I told a girl I love you, okay, and I'm an adulterer or whatever, nobody else has to come to know unless she opens her mouth. That's it. Now, when you text and it goes out there into that cloud in the sky or whatever the hell place it is, it's there and it's probably there for posterity. I'm so worried that it'll come back to haunt you. Okay, we're talking about frivolous things like affairs and all. But what about serious money transactions and political activism, lobbies that are, say, anti-government or showing dissent in places where they can't? I mean, there's so many more dangerous things out there.
Because people don't trust Facebook and WhatsApp. That's why for a lot of political conversations and stuff like that, people use Telegram, right?
Because you are a very savvy man and you may think like this and you may have a major distrust. Let me tell you, most people out there don't think this through. Facebook is where they let themselves go. They're like, hello, I hate this government. Let's invade Afghanistan, whatever. They just let themselves go. Silvery has said all kinds of rubbish in the last few weeks.
But that's exactly what I meant when I said privacy is notional, right? That I mean, if you are somebody who values privacy at higher levels, then you are somebody who needs to pay attention to what's going on at higher levels. If you are somebody who thinks of privacy as something which is simply, hey, you know what? Stay out of my business. right? At that point in time, you don't care that much about all this. WhatsApp is doing this and Facebook is doing that. You don't care about all that stuff.
For me, it's a very idealistic concept, but the right to privacy is second only to the right to liberty, and they are entwined and almost like brother and sister. And I can't get around that.
No, I agree there.
Like the police telling you to get out and go back in your building. I just feel that there's things that should not be done because the sense of democracy is over.
I don't
this is an
disagree
extreme,
with you.
extreme
I don't.
situation.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying in an extreme situation, you have to have some sort of rider. I understand. But the fact that you can just reach out and get information from A, B, and C, and most definitely D, who's always the dangerous guy, I just think that puts you out there for the rest of your life.
No, but you can't, right? I mean, like, when you're talking about electronic data and stuff like that, you can't just go out, right? Today, if I wanted to find out what Cyrus Brocha is doing on WhatsApp, I can't just go out and do that. If I want to know what's going on in email, I can't just go out and do that. I could maybe social engineer you into telling me, hey, Cyrus, you know what? Send me your email password. I need to sign you into something and get your email and then go into it. That could happen, right? But that is me.
But that's an obvious way. I'm saying there are unobvious ways also. Slightly more sophisticated ways, refined ways, which a person like me will have no idea about. Because how do these guys... Now, you just explained to us that on Twitter, they have an internal mechanism which allows them to police themselves, right? To save themselves as a platform. Okay, that's a great idea for them. But it's ultra-virus of every sense of privacy for the person on the platform. I don't get it.
But
they're looking for Osama bin Laden and people like that. I understand. They're looking for we're looking for terrorism. We're looking for, all that. But at the end of the day, you can be collateral damage. You come under the scanner for nothing and they get information from you. Dangerous information. For example, that Silvery uses curlers.
That's precisely the problem over here, right? So there's a saying in technology that you build a backdoor, you're building it for everybody. You can't just build it for a company. You can't just build it for internally. If you're building a backdoor, that backdoor exists for everybody now, right? And I mean, and that's what this is, right? When Twitter is being able to access verified accounts, they built a backdoor for that. So if you're building a backdoor of any nature into a tech system or into a system which is supposedly secure, that system is less secure than it used to be. You're going to laugh at the word backdoor, aren't you?
I have to translate it for my Gurgaon listeners, which is 50% of the podcast. It's backside. We use backside in the north. We don't use backdoor. Don't bring your English here. It's backside. Please always say backside so people follow and understand.
Do you guys remember the Boston bomber case where Apple was forced by the FBI to give them access to the phone?
It went a few rounds.
I don't think they ever won, right? I mean, the FBI never won that. I mean, I think it was...
No, they had to develop their own method.
They had to create their own method to do it. Because it is simply that. If you ask Apple to build a way to access their data, then they have built a way to access their data which is available to everybody. Because then now you no longer are protecting the system, you're protecting the information about how to access the system. And that's, you have more than doubled your attack vector at that point.
But in the old days, via the post office, you just intercept the letter, right? So they had that option. Yep. If they are trailing someone who's very dangerous, like I believe Silvery in his early career, so they would just go to the letterbox or the post office directly and yank the letter and that's it. So in a sense, they're following the same procedure because all they're doing is they're opening the letterbox, taking out the mail that they want, and then,
So they could do it the other way. Did I ever tell you about how my college application process, what disaster happened over there when I applied for colleges?
You did. But if you can make it really quick because we have to take a break because I need to urinate.
So, 1991, I'm applying as a freshman to colleges in the US at that point in time. I go to the post office and I have to send all of my physical applications. I buy a bunch of stamps because you have to stamp each one of them and send it. None of my applications reached at all. And I heard from a bunch of people that this happened to a lot of different people who applied because at the post office, they just swiped the stamps.
They flicked the stamp.
They flicked the stamps. Basically, I stamped the thing. I gave it to the guy over there at the post office. So I sent 2 applications by courier, but courier was $2,000. Right, and $2,000 in 1991, right? I mean, that was a shit ton of money back then.
Well, it's pretty much now a decent amount of money. I can buy a pre-workout with it.
It still is small. It's not a small amount of money now, but in 1991, $2,000 per parcel was like an insane amount of money. Yeah. 2 I sent, the 2 top colleges which I hoped to get into, which I didn't. Those 2 I sent by courier, and all the other ones which I should have definitely gotten into, I sent by regular post, and not one of them reached. So I had to go to the US and then go to the.
But how much would they make on that stamp?
It was like a good, I think I spent something like 150 rupees per post, right? So, and there were 7 of them. So it was like $1,500. It was something like that.
No, but for them to flick the stamp, I'm saying, what do they get out of it? How much?
Well, they can resell the stamp. They just pocket my money and resell the stamp.
How much?
The same amount. They're working at the post office.
But is this still a prevalent scam? Like, are they still doing
I
this?
don't know.
But now you
People
email.
are using Post less.
Nobody uses Post. Post is very rarely used now. Honestly, I don't know how they survive.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, this was that was fun. Yeah. But yeah, no. If somebody wants to violate your privacy, they can violate your privacy even through the post.
And I'm saying if you're going to violate privacy, then do it completely so we're used to it and there is no privacy. For example, I'm all for common bathrooms. I think it'll bring the genders together. Enough of these males here and females there. We don't understand each other enough because they sit and we stand. Why can't we also sit and they stand sometimes? We can try it that way. We've got to turn convention on its head for people to understand that they're not separate
that's
tribes.
the new thing in the US, right? I mean, like when I went there last year.
Oh, even here, we have a few, We have a few in upmarket.
We do have a few, but I think the reason the US is because they just want to avoid the whole trans bathroom debate.
Correct. Yeah.
Who gets access to what? So it's all bathrooms are unisex now.
Yeah. But are they enclosed when you go to do potty, or are they slightly open?
Well, so most of the unisex bathrooms are standalone bathrooms, right? No single bathrooms.
Oh, the single ones, fine. So it's like a cabin, like an aeroplane. You go and you come out. Yeah. And after you come out, you leave behind your legacy. Right. Which reminds me, let's take a break quickly. So we can come back and work on that legacy. Oh God, how do we descend to bathroom culture? What's wrong with this panel? How low can we go? Who are we? What channel are we on? The one that starts with R? We'll take a break. We'll come back.
Entertainment is like food for the brain. It's a window to culture and a great way to understand the world around us. The internet has changed what it means to be an entertainer, creating new storytellers with millions of fans. It has spawned a new breed, the story-sellers, those behind the scenes creating the business for this ecosystem. They work with brands, platforms and channels who are keen to capitalize on an audience hungrier than ever for more stories. I'm Vineet Kanabar, and I have a ringside view to how stories are told and sold. On my show, I bring you creators, artists, executives, and marketers for a freewheeling conversation around the business of entertainment. Tune in to Storytellers and Storysellers for personal stories, analysis, and criticism every Thursdays as I talk to the brightest minds telling or selling great stories today.
We're back. I think, this is the point where we were worried, the psychology of what happened with the epidemic. You go from fear, pandemonium, horror, and then to acceptance, and then to matter of fact. I think we're at matter of fact now, at least the three of us, in the sense that we're resigned to this is happening and this is around us. Some people have remained in pandemonium and some people are living in another fairy tale world. But I think we are in matter of fact kind of situation. And I think that I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but at least we're trying to do something with our lives, whatever's left of it. No pun intended.
Well, yeah, you got to get on with things, right? You can't just be sitting down and just waiting forever on this stuff. You got to move on with stuff.
You can't. Fifth month. They began by saying 2 weeks to 1 month, then 1 month, 2 months, giving you dates. Next 15 days are crucial. Next 3 days are crucial. I'm going to write a list of my bugbears over this last 5 months. Along with Bill Burr talks about white man's privilege and white woman's privilege. We have urbane privilege in India, where everything is only about us. We only think about ourselves, and hence we don't want the vendors in and the help in and all that, because it's only about ourselves. It's never ever beyond that, looking at it as a society and a community. Oh, save my flat, save my building. I can't stand these gates being shut all the time. I just feel it's just wrong.
But I don't know that we...
So follow the process. Do the sanitization. Do whatever little things you think will help. And that's it. But get on. What is the point of living in this mad fear and only thinking about yourself? There's a selfishness which comes with urban privilege, being urban Indians with a certain lifestyle which other Indians don't have, which has just not allowed us to get empathy and sensitivity to people around us. I've given up. I've decided.
I get what you're saying, and I agree that, right? I mean, we have to figure out the process of getting people back to work and into the buildings and stuff like that. But, dude, Pune's going nuts right now, right? I mean, I think that we have to be smart and targeted about how we do this stuff. But I think that there is definitely going to be it's got to be a lot more localized than it is right now. Right now, everything is happening too centrally, right? And this must be much more localized.
Also, the immunity game is very clear. Those who are immune, and those who are not. You have to figure out whether you are or aren't. I think that's the biggest question. The antigen test or whatever it's called. Yeah. You have to do that. That would be the most important, I would think. And then those people resume as much as they can and hopefully don't spread it. I know they can't catch it. And the ones who are worried and whose immunity really is dangerous, we just have to wait. We can't take a chance with a 75-year-old person with a heart condition or diabetes.
But I think the problem is that we all live in groups,
yeah,
right?
I understand that, but there's still ways. Now you isolate one room or whatever. You have to figure out what to do.
But you have to move on this, right? I mean, we can't sit at home for the next year for sure, right? We've already
psychologically
sat at home for
and financially devastating. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
It's already a third of this year we've sat at home. Like 1/3 of the year.
I'm bored with the furniture. I can't bear the same chair, the same sofa. The only things I'm not bored of are my two lovely doggies. But even the relatives, every time I look at the Dhawan family opposite, I say, can I just send one here and bring one there? Just so I have a different face to look at.
For a second, I thought Cyrus was going to say, my two lovely children. I'm not bored of. He said doggies.
Children are the parasites of our world. They live off you, contribute nothing, irritate you and make you feel bad at the end of the day. Please understand, children is not a gift from God. Children is a tax that you're paying for the rest of your fucking life.
Don't say that stuff, man. I just had a nephew come by.
You're in the golden period. The golden period goes on for a year. It's like newlyweds. 1 year, I give them sometimes 6 months depending on attitudes. But
I haven't even met the child yet.
Come back.
We'll see.
You wait till the demands. A child you never stop paying for. See, even if you stop paying financially when the child is 35 or whatever, you're still paying emotionally after that. Don't worry. You're paying for life. It's a noose around your neck. Look at this Silvery. His poor mother. She can't believe her Sharif ladka is going to some neighbor's house to have coitus behind her back and then talking about it on one of the highest rated podcasts in the world, second only to Joe Rogan. Okay, maybe third. But that's not the point. The point is, it exposes all of us. Be very careful. These bonds in family and all, 4 or 5 bunch, too many people, too close, too much. Yeah. It's like an urban concentration camp after some time, the same lane,
it
same
really
people,
is.
same
Man,
faces.
I drove past the racecourse yesterday for the first time. I'm sure you've done it when you go to work, but yesterday was the first time I drove past the racecourse. That thing is kind of
scary.
It's a little
eerie.
Eerie is a good word. Apocalyptic is another word, right? I mean, as I'm driving past it, I'm like, man, this is not a pleasant look.
But I wish we had made COVID a little more cool, The thing is that anyone who gets it gets stigmatized. That's another problem. Oh God, he's got it. Yeah, come. Oh, how sad. You look at that auto clinic in front of you or whatever you want to call it, turf club, and you say, wow, that looks terrible. I wish it was more like, hey, I've got COVID, bro. Check it out. What's going on? We just moved it along a little bit. COVID, see my muscles. Damn good, man. 3 days back. But otherwise, whoever gets COVID is like leprosy. And it's like death. When you say, uska daddy off ho gaya or whatever, and then everybody puts their Indian style, you put your hand on your mouth and go, oh my God, all that. But COVID is the same reaction. The guy's not dead. 75% are recovering immediately at the moment, but still the reaction is always, huh? What? Mahesh ko? Arey baba. How did it happen? How did it happen? It's happening all over the place. What's the big deal? Anyway, I think this living together and all that, I love my family for 5 minutes at least, but it's just too much. It's just too much. Look at Silvery. He doesn't have all these issues. He's a single male, but he still ran away to find companionship outside. Which is, you can't be in the village all your life. You can't leave the village.
It is tiring. I mean, I look forward to the few times when I go out. Even though, it's not always worked out well, still, I look forward to the few times that I'm able to go out, right? I was talking to somebody about this. Even going, so if I'm ordering food, even the idea of just going down to the gate to get food and come back up is kind of fun rather than having the watchman send it up. Yeah. I'd rather go down myself just because I'm getting out of the house for a few minutes.
In April, I used to chat with the watchman more than normal because I was so bored of human contact. Yeah. So I would go down, walk my dogs and chat for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And we had nothing to talk. We have nothing in common. He doesn't like cricket or animals or anything. There's just nothing we have in common. And I don't want to discuss sex because, his sex life is better than mine. I'll feel even worse about my life. But yeah. So I think now that I've stopped talking to him, he's a little hurt. Because now I've got access to more people and all that. And so, I'm a little bit more like, jaldi aake jayega, fadak, tak, like that. Give him a wink and move on. It's testing our relationships. Yeah.
What else we got, Ankit? Antariksh, we have some more stories.
Oh shit! Yeah, Ankit, where's our stories?
Yeah, we have some more stuff.
Wait, again,
Ankit. We both said Ankit. He said Ankit.
Oh, I just followed them. So that's no condition. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, what have we got?
Yeah, we got this story. Actually, Amit sent in. He wanted this to be covered. NBA probes Clippers Lou Williams over strip club visit. You guys hear about this?
Hey, I'll give you a parallel. If Jofra Archer of the English cricket team was banned from the second test match because he went home in the break of 4 days, he went home in London, which is a few hours away from north of England, Old Trafford. It's 5 hours or something by car. So he went home for 3 days and came back. And that violated what they said was their bubble. All the cricketers and the administrators had to be in one place. So they suspended him for 1 game. So I'm just setting it in context for another sport. Now you please tell us about the Clippers.
No, it's the same kind of. So I mean, like this has happened on other. So there have been other players in the NBA who have also had to be bounced,
Yeah.
right? There's a player called Rashawn Holmes who basically ordered food from outside instead of eating what was being provided in the bubble, and he had to be. He basically got an additional quarantine period because of that. So the rules are kind of stringent in these things, and they should be, right? Because the Florida Marlins had a bunch of people test positive, and now they've had to cancel 3 games, and the other teams are having who they played with are having to do this. So I mean, like you have to be careful about this stuff. But I just thought the fact that this dude decided to go to a strip club to break quarantine was hilarious.
Also, basketball, while not quite kabaddi, which is finished and cancelled as a game for 10 years, is more contact sport than say cricket. I mean, they're right in their face all the time. There's a little touching that happens, there's shoving that happens all the time. And the face to face, I mean, you're fighting over a ball with a distance of what average 12 inches, 15 inches when you're dribbling and close to each other.
Yeah, very close. So you're in contact constantly. It's a physical sport, especially.
It's a COVID sport. For me, it's a COVID sport, because you're locking horns literally all the time. So, So that's the other problem. Sorry, if one player gets it in that kind of sport, then it can really, I mean, it could go crazy.
Even a sport like cricket, right? I mean, like, there's a locker room, right? And so if somebody comes infected back in the locker room, and he's going to spread it fairly effectively at that point, because these guys are in close contact with each other to the point where you will have an infection risk.
So
right?
in cricket, they were asked to maintain social distance in locker rooms. There was a 6 feet there, put markers and everything. They were meant to do that, or no huddles when they enter and all that. By the third test, which is ongoing as we record, they were supposed to fist wrist bump, okay? So instead of fisting African-American style or the old-fashioned five, when you want to celebrate, you do wrist touching. So my back of my wrist to your back of your wrist.
Right.
Okay? That happens, and then when something exceptional happens, that's gone. Suddenly a guy's hugging the other guy from the waist and picking him up and all. And you can't stop. It's emotion. The emotion takes over, and you're classically conditioned to celebrate in a certain way. I mean, it's like going to a Punjabi wedding and then expecting everyone to restrain themselves. I mean, at a Sangeet. Do you think that's really going to happen? When we're all drunk out of our minds and people are going bale out of control and dancing and screaming and all that. I mean, how are they going to, hey, cheer foot. It's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
So on one hand, I want the processes in place. I'm saying let's look at the logistics which we can control and then just hope to God that nothing bad happens.
But then that's why the bubble is important, right? Because I don't think that you can legislate the way reaction happens within the game itself to events or within the locker room or stuff like that. The thing that you can legislate is ensuring that quarantine is maintained between the people who are deemed safe. And that's what you have to do, which is why I think it is appropriate that you are strict about the bubble, right? I think that if this guy, English cricketer, left, he should be
quarantined. And not only that, they wanted a 7-day quarantine. So for 7 days, that whole 5-day test match plus 2 more days, he couldn't leave from wherever they made him stay.
I think it's appropriate that Lou Williams and Rashawn Holmes are quarantined again, right? Because again,
What about Donald Trump, who's Secretary of State or one of his staff just now, head of security? Somebody's just got COVID in the morning.
Oh, really?
Right? Who's in close proximity to him.
Oh, wow.
So what happens there then?
Well, who knows, man. At least he started wearing a mask a couple of days ago.
Well, Uddhav Thackeray's one guard has it, who guards the wife, the main bodyguard. Okay, these are people who are in close contact with the family, right? If you've noticed, they have their bodyguards. All these guys have their bodyguards at everything. They're either standing right behind the guy on the dais or, I mean, where they only have only the bedroom. The bedroom is the only place where the bodyguard won't be there. And there are a few cases, I'm told, but Whitney Houston did a movie about it while she was alive. Generally, you do it when you're alive, but that's stupid to say anyway. Yeah, anyway, so my last point on this is that the processes have to be put in place, but let's be honest, it's really going to be hard to cover all the bases on this. All the time.
It is, but you got to attempt your best, right? You can't.
So, what's his name? The Clippers guy, Lou
Williams.
Lou Williams. While whatever you want to take action and all that, please understand there will be more Lou Williams, and sometimes it won't be completely their fault.
No, they won't, right? So, I mean, like one of the things which I found really interesting is
his reply. Did you hear what his excuse was for going?
What did
he said? Ask any of my teammates what my favorite restaurant in Atlanta is. It's this strip club. That's why I went there. That's what he said.
Hey, one second. What if that burger in that strip club is famous? We don't know enough about all this. Just because there's strip clubs, you think it's only sex. But it's possible that the margarita made there has a certain, twist to it that everybody talks about it. I don't know.
Yeah. He did say that there were no actual dancers at the strip club because of COVID. So it's possible that he actually went there for the food. I don't really know this.
I don't either. So Lou Williams is known as a party guy. He's like a hardcore where he's like Allen Iverson's buddy from like back in the this. He's known as a party guy. Like, he has made his career choices on the party friendliness of the city that he is going to move to.
Hey,
right?
listen, guys. Let's not overdo this party thing. The point of the matter is he went to a public place. Nobody cares whether it was a pawn place or non-pawn place or whatever. It was a public place, a social place, and that was the issue. Now, back home in Rajasthan, when Sachin Pilot and Ashok Gehlot are at loggerheads, they send their MLAs into I can't remember the name, Eagleton sort of resort in Rajasthan. A 5-star hotel, nothing less. Yeah. Please, let's not use a fancy place. And what are the social distancing there? We don't know what's being practiced. They send 150 MLAs to one place and,
So first, I don't understand how the resort was still open. How did you book the resort?
Political patronage and all that keeps these places open in India, so we can't mess with these buggers, yeah? That's the chief minister.
But the hotels are supposed to be shut right now, aren't they?
No, they're all working to a certain amount of occupancy, 1/3, this, that, and the other.
Okay.
And ridiculously low rates. So if you have somebody to take for a night of fun, without touching, of course, which is the way I have fun, then this is the time to do it, guys. I believe Hilton is 5,000 rupees a night, which is 1/3 its normal rate or
that's
1/4.
Nothing, isn't it? Yeah.
So Silvery, kabhi jayega? Not with me, but
if they really are running right now, it's actually not a bad time to take staycation type thing.
No, so my pal Sam, Samir, he took his wife for her birthday. They went for 1 weekend, 2 nights to Hilton. That's why I know the rates and all. And he said everything was functioning. It was great. It was nice and empty also, empty-ish. So,
right.
And you got your food, the restaurant, where one restaurant is open, Phoenix is open, and it's got everything in it. And, so they've also compromised. But hello,
of course, that's
you are
fine.
going to live like a king for 2 days and come back at a reduced rate.
But
and the chances of getting anything,
actually,
it's the same as me going to CNBC. What's the difference? You'll do the sanitizing at the bottom. You'll do this thing, temperature checks from time to time. They'll wear gloves when they serve you. It's the same thing as going to a corporate office who's following some protocol. Nothing more, nothing less.
Interesting.
So, if you want to move the office to Hilton or Taj, I'm okay to work from there.
Yeah, I think I will also be okay to work from there.
Our guests will be happy to come.
That's also
Hey, I'll be ready to come back to office.
Everybody is good for it. Yeah.
You'll have a full house. You and Ratan Tata will be very happy at the end of the day. The Taj is occupied.
Now, I think what we need to do is we get one of them to sponsor, right? I mean,
the buggers are bleeding, giving you 5,000 rupees a night rates, and you want to squeeze them for a sponsorship now?
No, I mean, we'll give them publicity, right? For
you know what they'll tell you? We won't give you a sponsor for your podcast. We'll give you one free night. Take that, brother. Which guest you want to go with? I've got some 500 to choose from. Yeah. Oops. All right.
One last story, if you can. Regis Philbin passed away.
Died. 88.
88. But what a legend. He was the host of, for those who don't know, he was the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Correct.
And he was also the host of Live with Regis and Kelly, like in the more recent times.
Regis and Kelly, Regis and Kathy Lee, Regis This Morning. Like that show, he ran that show for like years.
Regis stayed alive, the rest disappeared. Yeah. But the thing is, he was also very funny. The point is because he was a straightish actor on these straightish shows, nobody knows him to be a comedian. But I've seen him with Don Rickles, who's one of my all-time favorites. I don't know if you guys watch Don Rickles. I love Don Rickles. I just love his... I mean, and let's face it, for the time he came in to have that attitude and that, that sort of crusty humor, which is just so much fun. But later on, he was just too charming with the crusty humor, being an old man. But as a young man, he was quite in your face. So they had some good gigs together. But this guy, you never think of him like that.
Cameos. I remember a hilarious cameo in How I Met Your Mother, if you guys... I don't know if you've seen this.
Yeah. He's the burger guy,
super
right?
Funny.
Correct.
Yeah. Exactly, the burger
because
guy.
It makes sense. Iconic face for Americans, no doubt about it. For so many generations, would you say 3 or 4?
Well, 40, 50 years I think he started like in the 60s or 70s, right? So, I mean, like he was on for like 50 years.
So
on
literally,
That's insane.
The parallel is with Mr. Bachchan here.
Yeah, he was old when I was watching like Regis and Kathy Lee, right? When I was in college. He was old.
I also remember Regis and Kathy Lee as the first thing with him on, in the 90s or something. Is that right?
I think it was earlier than that. I think it started sometime in the 80s because it's a very 80s show. The whole thing had a very 80s feeling to it.
Yeah. He looked like he was straight out of the 70s, his coats and everything else, in any case.
So apparently he holds the Guinness Book of World Records for most number of recorded hours on television.
Wow.
In history.
Yeah, I'll break that. I'll break that. And we have the ones for the most recorded hours on television nobody watched. So that's even bigger. That's a huge record.
Actually, I think, Cyrus, you probably can get to it. What's the number? Do you know what the number is?
Our episodes. We're coming up to 700 next week.
You're coming out to 700 plus. 700. How many bakras you've done plus how much?
Oh, like that, yeah. God, you have an MPV and all.
He's talking about how much right? I mean, like...
too much time. Should have been penalized.
But at one point he was doing 2 hours a day, right? Because Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was on like 4 times a week. And,
but for those Indians who don't know what Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is and who he is, just explain to them that it's basically an American version of KBC.
It is, right? KBC was such a big success that everybody thought that we should do that in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
and don't think of time as a linear concept. That's a big problem we have in this world. That's why you allow a lot of Europeans and Americans to come up with inventions which they didn't really make because, it's not like that. It doesn't follow one line. Yeah. Anyway, but jokes apart, great guy. I liked him.
Yeah, you're always fun to watch.
Fairly charming if you see him on talk shows and all that. But then most Americans are good at chatting, man. You go to sometimes visa application is a fun time. You get an American who talks to you for 5 minutes. You have a nice conversation. Yeah.
He used to do a lot of appearances on Conan, and they were hilarious. He was insanely funny.
Really?
So you and I both watched too much Conan, huh?
So because Conan was on television in India for many years, we used to get Conan on CNBC.
Oh, really?
Of course.
I never knew this.
Leno and Conan together, they'd follow.
They follow,
Same.
Yeah.
So
CNBC's NBC.
Just during the late night and Tonight Show days.
So it was at 10 and 11. 10 was India time and 11. And so that's half an hour difference from theirs. Of course, but 2 days deferred.
Yeah, it was 2-3 days late. Yeah, it was something like that. But yeah, we used
because our Tuesday would be a Thursday here, and I'd be like, yeah, what? It'd be a Tuesday night, the Chicago Cubs destroyed again, something, and it'd be like the wrong day. But then third world politics. Okay, guys, are we ready for AMA?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you're not following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Paytm Money. So, a great week of shows behind us and hope that you've been catching up on as much of it as you can. We had Abhishek Bachchan on Football Shitball. Yeah, let me say that again. Abhishek Bachchan was on Football Shitball. Did I mention Abhishek Bachchan was on Football Shitball? That was a fun episode. You should definitely check that out. Really, really deep conversation about cricket and things like that. We had Vikram Kochar on Cyrus Says, talking about the platforms and stuff like what's going on over there. On the note, Maruk had spoken to Sanjay Jha, which was again a really, really interesting conversation. On Edges and Sledges, the guys are having an interesting conversation about, well, what are our favorite formats of cricket and things like that. So it's just really been a really, really awesome week on the network, and please do check things out. And with that, let's get you back to your show.
Follow me at Instagram and Twitter on Bored Brocha. I'm so bored, I need your help. I need your love. I need your touch. Okay, just follow me.
So the first one is a birthday request, a birthday wish. He says, hey Cyrus, Silvery and Amit. It's my birthday this Sunday, the 26th of July, just went. Could you please wish me on my birthday? A shout out from you guys would be great.
26th July was your birthday.
That's
not a great day to have a birthday. But all the best, happy birthday. But a few years ago, that guy did not have a good birthday.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
Okay.
Yep.
Are we going to go to detail, or since I can't figure it out, can we leave it?
This is the floods. You're talking about the floods.
Oh shit, Mumbai. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I thought you have a friend who died or something. This is terrible.
Oh, no,
sorry.
I was talking about the floods one day.
He said this is Karan from Minneapolis, so I don't think he was bothered.
Oh, okay, so he didn't care.
I was in Chennai. So, Karan, happy birthday. First and foremost, I congratulate you on being born in the month of the most glorious people of the world, the Leo Club. Welcome to the Leo Club, not the Matunga branch, but this is General World Global branch. So, excellent choice. And as all Leos, you will be majestic, glorious, self-love, never self-loathe, and never worried about people. That's the great thing about being a Leo. You can actually live on our own and think we are surrounded by a village. But unfortunately, that's actually happened now. There are too many people. Karan, happy birthday. How old is he?
27. He just turned 27.
Do you see the irony here? As God got rid of Regis Philbin, he allowed Karan to have a 27th birthday. I mean, that's so sad, really.
Yeah.
For that reason alone, birthday should be cancelled. But every time somebody's having a birthday, somebody's died at the same time. And just think about it. If you're really sensitive, you'll be like, Mom, I can't have this birthday, I don't know. Somebody in Uttarakhand has died right now. Yeah. Okay, next.
Okay, next one comes in from Sharda Dattar. The subject is Indian matchmaking. I don't know if you guys have watched this Netflix show.
Did you watch it?
I watched the whole show, and we've done a parody with Kunal last week, and we'll do one more this week.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it says, Dear Cyrus, Amit and Silvery, I'm Sharda. I'm a pathologist from Navi Mumbai, currently working in KEM Hospital, Parel. I've been following the podcast for a year now, and I'm a huge fan. I wanted to ask Cyrus if he's watched Indian matchmaking on Netflix. What are his thoughts? What about Seema Auntie?
Yeah.
Would love Cyrus's take on this unbelievable yet highly entertaining series. I have to say, super entertaining.
Okay, so first, I know that all the, what do we call them, these urban Naxalites, as one of the great Bollywood directors has called them, attacking this poor thing. And 100% is very sexist and very one-sided, because without knowing it, they keep saying she's fair, she's beautiful, she should be tall, she should learn how to compromise, she must learn how to look after. All that shit is there, there's no question. But you can't blame her, because she's born into that. I found her very charming and very endearing at the end. Maybe I grew up with lots of Marwari friends, so I've seen similar aunties. But it's just, I liked her. I really liked her at the end, and she made me laugh. There's this girl called Aparna in episode 1, who's an a Sindhi girl from America, typical American, very cocky.
She's the one who dismissed the podcaster, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Her mother called her a loser.
Under her breath. Wasn't supposed to come out. But very alpha, so you could see she's going to struggle to meet a guy or whatever. But there's a line where Seema doesn't even know what she's saying, in the sense, because there's no malice in her heart. Aparna is very unstable. It's going to be very difficult. I was like, you can't say that. It's going on Netflix forever. You've called her. You can't say that. How can you say that? Either you sugarcoat it a little bit so we get your point without anyone really taking offense, but only a person who actually doesn't mean any ill will. She's just being open and honest. So I found her very endearing. So I became quite a fan, frankly.
I've struggled with it. I mean, I've been told to watch it by a few people, said that, it's really well done. It's done in good spirit.
I'll tell you. See, you don't have the empathy that a married couple has. When you see it from a married couple's point of view, we understand everything. Because the whole thing about control. See, what is the difference between arranged marriage and love marriage? Actually, there's nothing. There really isn't much. Because at the end of the day, your computer brain is taking in, when you meet a girl or guy, it's taking in what you want, right? I like her looks, I like her ass, I like her face, I like her this, I like her that, I like her job, I like her attitude, I like that she's left liberal. All this goes into your brain. Now you're looking at it from a more quantified point of view, where you put it down on paper and you send it out into the world. So you're not doing it automatically, you're doing it through that process. But it's the same thing. So the only thing is, people aren't true to themselves. So sometimes they don't say what they really want. But it's at the end, it's the same thing. And then the things don't work because one person has to be allowed more control than the other. There is no perfect egalitarianism sort of situation in marriage. It just doesn't work. I've seen it. Me and my wife fight all the time because we both, try to be open and straightforward about it. But I think it's a failed marriage in many ways. The best ones are the ones where one person is in charge. This is my honest opinion. I've seen marriages around the world and observed that. And so as a married person, when you watch this, you're getting all those insights and the things that, which don't matter to single people because they haven't really thought it through of living with someone. And so for us, like I looked at my wife and said, we don't have the worst marriage. Look at this girl. Look at what she's demanding. You're not that bad. I said, give me a hug. It's like, she's healing marriages that have not gone through her, in a sense. But having said that, a lot of criticism, Silvery, for her, a lot of people just attacked her because of the sexism, the blatant Indian sexism which is there.
Again, just general commentary. I haven't seen the show, so I'm not making my own point here, right? But general commentary I've seen around this. It's been both, right? So, I mean, in some senses, it's being attacked simply for perpetuating the arranged marriage institution, right? But then I've spoken to a lot of men and women, many who you would consider very feminist, who did not really think of this as a particularly problematic show because the thing is that you're showing what's real. You're showing the reality of the situation, right? And the people who made the show, apparently it was an international crew that made it. It wasn't an Indian. So now when an international crew made it, they made it with a degree of, they looked
neutrality.
Neutrality and just like, this idea that they weren't looking for the negative in everything, right? If an Indian crew had made this, right, the attitude...
There would be a premise. There was no premise here.
There was no premise, exactly. That's what I heard. Now, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
It's a Switzerland sort of documentary. They're not giving you they're not coloring anything. They're just opening it out. This is how news should be. And telling you this is what's happening, take a look. It's like that. It's pretty good. I'm a fan.
I was reading up on the show, the aftermath of the show. And turns out none of the couples
have stayed
who
together.
have
I don't know if
stayed
that's
together.
true. Even Kunal says that, but his understanding of life comes from whatever the latest WhatsApp forward was. So I have to, study the market.
I don't know, but I stalked a few of the contestants on Instagram, and it seems like they're still single, and this show has made them actually popular online also. It makes sense.
But that
Also,
happens.
Well, made them popular, but that poor Aparna, for example, she did herself no service at the end, because she comes across as a bit of a. There's a guy called Vyasa who's 6'7". He comes across as a really nice guy, and you can see people falling for him somewhere. But this girl comes across as a real, full of herself and not able to compromise and not able to understand how controlling she is. And so you think, okay, this is, God, Aisha's not that bad. It's like that. Yeah. I mean, it's not like she's a bad human being, but you'd not want to be. I got scared looking, and I was like, oh God, if I married her, I mean, I wouldn't have, both the testicles would have conjoined themselves into like one and then slowly disappeared completely, and all that would be left would be pubic hair. I mean, that's it. It'll just be that. It'll be just like, I mean, what a visual to end the show with. What the hell?
But then if none of the couples end up together, does that mean that Seema auntie is just really bad at her job?
Well, it's 4 lakhs, brother. 4 lakhs is the key if you hitch up. After that, if you break up, it's not her problem. 4 lakhs.
So that's her fee, 4 lakhs.
Yeah. We're in the wrong business. We sit here mouthing off like morons and looking for sponsors. All you have to do is people are desperate. This is an industry which never really falls. COVID or no COVID, they'll figure it out.
She gets paid 2 lakhs from each side, or is it a 4 lakh success fee?
I suppose both sides will have to pay her because it's brokerage. Literally, because the buyer and seller are both coming from her. If a second person is used and the seller, one of the spouses comes from another side, then it's split brokerage. You really want to get into it? I'll find out more.
No, I feel a little more compelled to watch this than I did an hour ago.
No, please watch it. It would be nice if you watched it when you were in a relationship with someone.
There are so many good movies in the world to watch. I don't feel like watching something which I'm going to mock. That was my thinking behind it.
Fair enough.
This weekend, I saw 4 movies. 3 of them were awesome. Yeah. Right? I mean, so I'm just like...
Which is the bad one?
So the bad one was that awkward moment. It's got Michael B. Jordan, Miles Teller, and that Disney guy, Zac Efron. I saw Michael B. Jordan. I'm like, just before that, I saw the Michael B. Jordan movie, Just Mercy, which was incredible. And then it came as a suggestion, and I'm like, I haven't seen this. Okay, let's watch this. And so I clicked it, and that wasn't so good. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't so good.
Why did he not just, as he became famous and a big star, why did he not just change his name? Why do you want to spend your whole life putting that B out there? Always, because everyone like, Michael B. Jordan.
I know.
I mean, that's just big shoes in your head all the time. I mean, my name is Bobby. That's it. No surname. It'll still be better. Wherever you go, if you don't put the B, you confuse everybody.
That is true. No, but I mean, that was my weekend, right? I'm like, do I want to watch now? It's because I had a bunch of people suggested watch this, and I was like, do I want to spend time watching this? Or because there was also the other movie that came out, the Ben Affleck movie, also showed up on Amazon, The Way Back. So I definitely wanted to watch that. I definitely want to watch Just Mercy.
I saw a story about Ben Affleck growing up, about him and his sister and the sibling rivalry. Have you seen that? It's called Ben Choth. Silvery, I'm so sorry. You must encourage Chacha. Chacha's going to be 49 in a week. Show some respect. Can we squeeze in one more AMA?
Yeah, sure. It says, hello Cyrus, Amit, Silvery. What are your phobias? Sorry, this one comes in from Snehal. I'm so sorry. It comes in from Snehal. She says, hello Cyrus, Amit and Silvery. What are your phobias? What are some weird phobias you've seen in people? For example, I cannot sleep directly below the ceiling fan. I fear it may fall when I'm asleep, and I keep checking if it's wobbling every once in a while. What about you guys?
Yeah, that's a decent phobia. If there's a creaking sound and all that, someone like me, I'm a little hyper, so everything, I don't relax easily. So that's a bit of a headache. And it's happened many times, especially in hotels and other places in life. Yeah. What about you, Amit?
So I have 2 that I can think of, right? So one is I'm claustrophobic. I'm not severely claustrophobic, but if there is an elevator that's superly packed, I will wait for the next one rather than just get into it. I've had trouble getting into an MRI machine before. It freaks me out. So that's one of them. And the other one is, and I think these are fairly common phobias. I'm not fond of certain types of insects, right? If insects have I'm okay with like ants and cockroaches and stuff like that to an extent. Those don't freak me out so much. But if you know the kinds of insects which have a lot of
Scorpions.
the really creepy crawly kind of stuff ones. I can't remember what they're. Well,
so you're like an insect racist.
I am.
There's certain types that you just look at them and you hate them.
Yeah, they
Fair
kind of they make my skin crawl.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So, acceptable. My phobias are I have reverse phobias. Like I'm very worried how I'll react to people who behave badly with dogs because I have to control myself. So I'm always worried about that, especially like animal haters. I'm very worried about watchmen growing up. I used to fight with them all the time because they just don't talk properly. So when you try to park your car, after you park, then they come and go, idhar nahi. That way. So these are the things I worry about more. Police during this thing that I should not overreact and get upset and start giving them lip.
So you're phobic about your own temper, which is interesting.
I'm phobic of my reaction to certain stimuli, which I believe they are completely wrong, but I have to realize that I can't misbehave because we live in civil society.
Right.
No, but if I was a dictator, I would kill them and their children. Yes, no question. And eat a meal after that. Yeah.
It is your reaction that you're worried about. You're worried about your own.
I don't have phobias like insects and all, Baba. I can't. Those things I can't think of.
No, but there's like a degree of like Zen self-realization in that, isn't there? The fact that you're phobic only about your own reactions.
Yes, because I've got a lot of criticism over the years. Like now my daughter tells me the moment a guy comes up a one-way, she tells me, "Stop it! You can't abuse." That kind of thing. So so I'm just trying to restrain the same red rags can't keep coming back. I'm going to be 60 soon, and now my daughter heard the whole thing since she walked in from her class. Sorry to interrupt the podcast. That was the hand of God, my daughter's. So they're reverse phobias, I'd call them. How not to get into a bad mood. But Silvery, do you have actual phobias which are on record in psychiatry? Practice phobias, like he said about insects, fear of swimming, water. These are real phobias.
I get very nervous around authority, like teachers.
So that's similar to me. And anti-authority.
Yeah,
very good.
I think that's. I can't think of anything else right now.
Yeah. What about orgies? Do you have a fear of orgies? Like if you don't perform or if you're rejected? Always like how you would not get selected by the guys in the lane to play. You'd be selected last. You're always worried you're in an orgy and like there's people packing.
You'll be selected last.
Yeah, I'll be like, and me? And me? That could be a problem. Hey, don't knock it, man. It'll take days to recover. You'll go to therapy after that because you've been a group of 65 people from the ages of 70 to 17 and nobody. Finally, the caterer offers you a prawn, a shrimp cocktail or something. Sir, will you have something? God, that's scary. Yeah. All right. Looks like COVID has been destroyed by us. We've gone back to our normal world. Excellent. Good to know. Okay. All right. Cyrus Brochure from deep in a bunker somewhere in Malabar Hill saying bye-bye. We'll see you soon.
Okay, catch us on any of the podcasting apps, please. We beg you, we need you. Send us your questions on Twitter on Cyrus Says In. Or you can email us, even if you're not female, on whatcyrussays@gmail.com.
Hi, I'm Satyajit.
Hi, I'm Racheta.
We are from the Open Library Project and we host a podcast called Paperback.
Paperback is a podcast where we engage with stalwarts and experts from various industries, suggesting non-fiction titles that contributed to their journey in a big way.
We've had guests like Anjali Raina, Dr. Marcus Rani, Dr. Swati Lodha, Ambi Parmeswaran, Apurva Damani, and many more on our show Paperback. Find new episodes every Wednesday on IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
माणसं गोलगप्प्यासारखी असतात. हाय हॅलो करताना वेगळी आणि बोलताना वेगळी आणि गप्पा मारताना वेगळी, मित्र झाली की वेगळी आणि शत्रू म्हणून वेगळी, थोडक्यात दिसणारी वेगळी आणि असणारी वेगळी, कधी आंबट, कधी गोड, कधी तिखट, तर कधी चमचमीत आणि कधी कधी हॉट अँड स्पायसी सुद्धा. आणि म्हणूनच गप्पा गोलगप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर फक्त तुमच्यासाठी दर बुधवारी IVM पॉडकास्टच्या ऍपवर, वेबसाईटवर किंवा युट्यूब चॅनलवर सुद्धा ऐकू शकता. तुम्ही आमचा पॉडकास्ट वेगवेगळ्या पॉडकास्ट प्लॅटफॉर्मवरती ऐकू शकता. फक्त सर्च करा गोलगप्पा विथ तृप्ती खामकर आणि आमचा पॉडकास्ट ऐकत रहा.